Why do we feel so good after gardening? So happy. Research tells us so many of the benefits of being out in our gardens, and it seems endless sometimes. But why? Why do I find myself drawn just to go out into the garden? Sometimes just to watch the grass grow. Getting my hands in the soil. I think it's my brain telling me to. I'll explain in a moment what's brought me down this path today. But I thought I'd go through some reminders of why our gardens are so good for our mental health. And I've come up with 7 points. If you're new to my channel, my name is Greta. I'm a backyard vegetable gardener in Newfoundland, Canada.
A recent Princeton study showed that home gardeners had high levels of happiness when gardening was measured against other day-to-day activities. This emotional well-being was higher for vegetable gardeners than for ornamental gardeners. I think that's because we get to eat it.
Before I list 7 ways our gardens make us happy, I'll tell you what led me to ponder this. I came across last night a journal, a childhood journal of mine that I used to write poems in. And one of the poems in particular stuck out to me, that many of them were nature related. But we used to have an old apple tree. It was way down a bank and it overhung the river in our yard. And I would climb up that tree and I would sit there for hours, mostly writing poems. Now I won't recite that poem, but I'll give you a couple of lines. It starts off, "My yard consists of many things, but none so old as you, ancient gnarled apple tree that now brings apple few. La 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 la." And another line was, "It was after your friend the soil died. You've never been the same. And now you rely too heavily on your friends, the sun and rain." Think about us as children, how we're so aware and in tune with the beauty of nature. Reading that journal took me back to my childhood, that 10-year-old girl who just wanted to sit outside for hours because nature felt good. So the 7 reminders that I've come up with. Number 1, my mother always said a little dirt never hurt. Did your mom? Well, science agrees with this. It's said that when we get our hands in the soil, we stir up microbes, specifically mycobacterium, and that can stimulate serotonin levels. Serotonin is known as the feel-good natural chemical, and it promotes calmness, focus, and happiness. Low levels of serotonin are associated with depression. So soil is an antidepressant. Number 2, when we're out working hard in our gardens, we may not even think of it, but we're exposed to a sensory feast. All our senses are stimulated. I gotta think of them. Sight, smell, taste, sound, and touch. And that's known to be very therapeutic for us. The more senses that we engage, I think, the richer the experience for us, and it's very good for mental health. Think of when we brush against lavender. I can smell it now. Think of the smell from those tomato plants, the very strong aroma, as we pluck the suckers out. Think of the gorgeous red ripe tomatoes we then see. Beauty. The buzzing bees, the singing birds. All very good for our mental health. 3, get off our phones. Instead, get out in the garden and get sunlight and vitamin D. It boosts our mood. It helps our bones, our immunity, our blood pressure. There's a lot of benefits from sunlight. I'm not talking sunbathing, just a good 15 to 20 minutes out in the garden. Maybe I should climb trees again. But seriously, our phones have a way of taking us away from the real world, don't they? Number 4, our lives sure can be filled with moments of stress. Now, I'm, of course, no doctor. If anything's out of whack with you, you go see your doctor. This is just benefits of a garden. But studies have shown that being out in our gardens can lower the cortisol levels. And that leads to reduced stress. So think, I've had, work life may be dismal, but let me show you this kale I've grown. You know, instant feeling of success. Number 5, mindfulness. It's a term we're hearing a lot of these days, and I think it's taught as a therapeutic technique. But when we're out in our gardens, all alone, concentrating on the task at hand, we're alone with our thoughts, the present moment. And it's very good for us to be mindful. And again, we're away from those phones. It's got to be a good thing. Number 6, improved focus. When we're in our gardens, disconnecting from our daily lives, carefully pulling those weeds out and finding them, carefully looking for pests, we are improving our concentration and our focus and our memory retention, and we're learning new skills. The gardens give children so much also. It teaches patience and environmental science and maths. So much benefit from being out, pottering around and focusing. And number 7, finally, when we get to harvest those vegetables that we've grown, it's been shown that this releases dopamine. So it gives us a sense of pleasure, reward, motivation. And I think in these times, that's a good thing to have too. So that's my 7 reminders of what mentally our garden can help us with. Now, I didn't touch on all the physical benefits. I think we know those, we can feel those as we're working away outside. Not to mention, I think the number 1 benefit of all is getting to eat those healthy, wonderful, homegrown vegetables. And we don't have to be good gardeners. We can be not so good gardeners. We may garden on our balconies or our patios in urban environments, or in community gardens or allotments, or we walk out the back door. Or maybe like me, to keep me happy through the winter when I can't get my hands in the soil, I grow indoors. I'd like you to meet my beans.
And I never pass up the opportunity to brush my windowsill herbs. The aromas, rosemary can't be beat.
That's 7 things that we should remember and motivate us to get out in our gardens because they're so good for us. Well, that's all for now. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.